Hi, welcome to the table. I'm Steve Rain.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
And I'm Mark Windle.
And we're looking at the Kennerspiel Des Jahres, the nominees for the Gamers Game of the Year, which this year are Wingspan, Carpe Diem and Detective, a modern crime board game. We're going to have a brief overview of what the game's about, what we like about the game, what we might not like about the game. And then at the end, we're going to do what we usually do. We're going to have a guess what we think's going to win, and then also what we'd like to win and whether that might be a different thing. So the first game we're going to talk about is Wingspan. It is definitely been overhyped this year, so if you haven't heard about Wingspan, what are you doing, where are you hiding? Wingspan is a game where you're trying to attract birds to your nature reserve, but it's an engine builder at heart. The components are lovely, and basically every time you get birds in your wildlife park, they go in one of three areas, and then when you activate those areas to get cards, to get more birds, or to get eggs on your birds, or to get food so you can attract other birds, they activate all the birds you've previously placed there. So thinking about what you put where and kind of maximising the kind of chain actions you get is what this game's about. It's an engine builder at heart. What do we think, guys?
The engine building's really nice, I think, and that's certainly for me the thing that attracts me most to the game. I'm just surprised it's done as well as it has done, because it's been super popular, hasn't it? For me, the theme is not interesting to me at all. And yet, obviously, for a lot of people, they really like the theme, and the artwork is obviously very good. But I don't know, I've spoken to other people who are like, birds, but that seems to be a bit polarising. But the game itself, the engine building is great.
The theme's very inoffensive, though. It won't. I can't see many people going, I hate birds. Yep. So the advantage of that, I agree. I think it's all about the engine building. I don't think it's like amazing, but it's neat and tight enough and plays in a quick enough time. And I do feel like each round I'm adding more to my engine. It's not like a spluttering start. It's this round I clearly feel better than I did last round. Yep. And because it's all the mechanisms are easy to teach relatively for an engine builder. There's a bit of symbology, but other than that, I think it's a neat type package.
It's an easy teach. I've taught it to people, like distractedly half teaching to some of my staff as I was going away to do other things, and they picked up super quickly. So if you kind of want to introduce a slightly heavy game, because it is thinky to people, but it's simple, you just do one of four things effectively, and each round you actually get fewer goes. For me, theme doesn't bother me. I just don't like the lack of interaction. I think it's very hard to say what other people are doing. The only interaction I can see is nicking the food before someone else, or building those birds that get you bonuses for other things.
It feels like the accessibility is its real strong point. Like, I think it's good. I don't think it's great, but it is super accessible. It's just so easy for so many people to play this kind of game, when usually this weight of game is harder for people to get into. So from that point of view, I guess it's done that really well.
It's not like you need to take a special action to get your engine running. You play an action on this row, and everything before it is going to activate. Well, if the game should have to, I need to do this action to start my engine running. But because you're adding something and running at the same time, it's easy to teach. There's not two separate things in that.
Yeah. All right, Carpe Diem then is the Stefan Feld entry. Stefan Feld is known for fairly heavy Euros, usually with not a lot of theme, and this definitely fits the bill there. Essentially, you are acquiring tiles from the middle. You kind of move your worker, if you like, around in the middle, and you're picking up tiles, but then you're placing them on your own personal player board, and it's a little bit like Carcassonne, so you've got to place certain buildings so they match with other buildings, so you get like vineyards and ponds and things and other kinds of terrain, but you put them so that they all match up properly, and then essentially you're trying to score points in a couple of different ways. So one is that your player board has these sort of imaginary lines that crisscross around it, and they require you to put certain buildings in certain positions. So it might be that you have like a pond line, and you have to build a pond across the line in order to score the point. So placing the tiles on your board is actually quite tricky to maximise the scoring from that. But the really interesting thing about it is the end of round scoring. You have a disc that you put between two scoring cars. It's like a bunch of cars that come out in a grid, and you pick two to score, and you're getting points for maybe having certain kinds of ponds or other sorts of buildings and things. There's a certain amount of engine building in it as well, in that you can get some buildings that let you get more buildings. But the point is, with the scoring token at the end, is if you take that, no one else can take it. You kind of Bagsy that spot. Whereas if someone else wants to go there, they might be able to go at a different angle. Like for a particular card, you could go on the right or the left or the top or the bottom, but between two other cards, if you like. So there's a lot of thinking in terms of where to place, and player order becomes very important, because if you can place in the best scoring spot first, then you can beat other people out. It's certainly interesting in terms of the mechanics to think about, I think. What do you think?
I like it. I think I'm probably going to like it more than these two. But basically, it's so short. It's like an hour once you've played it. If you played it before, you could probably do even quicker than that. There is a problem for if you're colourblind, I think, that you struggle, especially with the first edition, for some of the colours and the difference between the yellow building, the orange building, or whatever it might be. But I really like it. I think there's some decisions. I think you can kind of predict what other people are going to get. On their turn, they can reach there or there. Which town might they take? Well, they need to finish off their chicken coop or something like that. So they're going to take that one, which means I can leave that for now and go for something else. So in terms of the interaction and thinking about what other people, you're not just solely focused on your board. You're looking for what other people are doing. Which scoring tile are they going to take? It's really interesting. It's brilliant. You could take this scoring tile, which is really well for you. But on the last round, if you take something that you can't score, you're going to lose points for it. So you've got to try and plan 3 or 4 rounds ahead. So you go, right, I'm going to start building this now. Not going to score it yet, but hopefully near the end of the game, that card there will still be free, so I can have a go at doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got things I like in it. As you said, the speed and the times, that is good. I like the fact that there is tension on the scoring opportunities. And I even like the fact that I'm filling a board. It's that whole, once you complete a board, it's like, oh, I've done it. I've got these buildings all connected together. And there is fun in that. But it kind of, for me, finishes in a bit of a very grey package like the box. As in, I just don't, despite liking those things, I just don't care. And that's a weird problem with it I've got, is that I just don't care at the end of the game.
It's very bland, and you're right, there's nothing that really gets you invested in what you're doing. The scoring is great. That is definitely the best part of the game.
And its length.
Yes. The first edition has a couple of significant issues within it, which is the movement in terms of how you acquire the tiles in the middle is quite odd. You sort of do this star shape and crisscross across the middle, which really isn't necessary. And I think in the second edition, they've just changed it to a standard circle. So you move one space either side of you in a circle to acquire the tiles, which is much better. And the other one, as you mentioned, is the colourblind issue, which is a real issue with the first edition. The iconography is very hard to tell different things apart. Even if you're not colourblind, it's hard to tell things apart. But I think they have sorted that to a certain extent in the second edition. So much better now. But yeah, it's not a game that overwhelms me with its...
I like it. I'm just surprised it's been nominated.
Yes, indeed.
And talking of games that I'm surprised have been nominated, but for probably a different reason. So Detective, a modern card board game. Unsurprisingly, you're trying to solve some sort of crime. That's what it is. If you've only played in the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective games, it's like an evolution of that. So, like in that, you're moving to locations, speaking to people, trying to solve the mystery. But in this, it's taking it further. I guess it's where the modern crime bit of it. There's things like you'll get facts off the internet, real life facts that do actually affect what your decisions, what thought process you're going through in the game. There's a database that sort of links with it. So they might have things like previous inquiries, or like them interviewing suspects from something previous, or seeing what their like history of their crimes they might have previously done. So it brings it all more together, and it's really, really, really heavy. And that's where my point's from. So is that I understand this is not the normal spiel, but compared to these, this is heavier than those two added together. It also takes 2 to 3 times as long. It's just I really, really, really like the game, but it stands out amongst these three as just a completely different game of completely different thought process. I think you said it should be the Kennerspiel, and that's probably true. It's your massive heavyweight game. I mean, I know fundamentally the mechanisms are easy.
Yeah.
They aren't actually tough to teach.
I think that's misleading because it is simple to play.
Yeah.
The thing that makes it very heavy, and it is very heavy, is the sheer amount of information you have to process.
I wrote so much. You have to have a note taken. They designated the note taken. Well, I've had note taken for Consulting Detective before. I thought this will be easy, and I went through like four sides of A4 just writing notes. Oh, we're going back to 1952 now. Okay, right, 1952. Link to the. Oh, he's going even further back to the First World War and stuff like that. I think it's. The level of detail in this is amazing. Yeah. So you play some games, and there are some games that you play and you think, oh, wow, they've done really well there. Oh, I really like the idea they've done there. But you can kind of feel like when, that you could have designed that game. Like Consulting Detective, although it's set in Sherlock Holmes, I wouldn't be able to do it. When you play it, you think, yeah, okay, I like what they've done there. Oh, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, I could have thought about how, the rough mechanics of this game. There's no way I could have done this with this game. There are some games that are just super deep and super thinking. When Mark says they link to the internet, they've got you can search fake people up, the people in the case. You can search them up, and they'll say, "Oh, he was arrested in 1952 for this. He has a scar on his left cheek in the shape of a cross or something. He has all this. His wife died." And you're like, "Oh, search his wife. Oh no information there." And you've got loads of these dead end leads that you can follow. And the time's good as well.
That's right. You've got a certain amount of time to complete the story, but there are so many leads. I mean, in real life, if you were a detective, it's like, well, where do you choose to go? You could talk to maybe hundreds of people potentially with some vague connection with the case, but you've only got a limited amount of time. And it's very much the same with this. You really need to make some difficult decisions about, do we think this lead is going to pan out more than this other one? And that makes it really difficult.
Yeah, so... It's a very good game, and it does, I think, do what previous games have done better.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the best one of that genre by quite a distance.
I felt definitely like I was a cog in a machine.
I was I was a bit ill, but I was super exhausted at the end of it. There was so much to think about, so many notes, so many false leads, so much information, that if that's your cup of tea, then it's just great.
Yeah, if you like that kind of pursuing leads, interviewing people, trying to put the different pieces of information together, it does it really, really well.
When I say it's timed, I just want to clarify that it's not timed in that you have 2 hours to solve it. It's timed in that your actions take time off you, and you've only got a certain amount of time to solve the case. Yeah. You can even go into overtime. You can even get stress. You've only got a certain amount of stress you can get, but certain things, like if you have a harsh interrogation, it stresses you out or something like that.
Yeah.
And overtime puts you into stress. So it's really nice. You think, well, we're at the lab. We've got an hour left before we have to go into overtime. Do we send these results away? They're going to take 3 hours. Do we? Is it worth it? Because if we don't, we have to. If we think we need them later, we have to come back and spend more time. So the decisions are really interesting, and it's super, super deep. You'll know if you like that sort of game, and there's a lot of people who won't, I'm afraid.
Well, yes. Which is going to win?
So we've got 2 choices like normal. We've got, which one do you want to win, and then which one do you think is going to win?
I think it's hard when you put it like that. I'm sure about which one is going to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having said that, I have been wrong every single year.
I think this time. I think we all are on the same opinion.
Yes. So we all agree, don't we?
We're all going to agree that we think the game that's going to win is Wingspan.
Yeah,
definitely.
And just because it fits the bill a bit better.
Yeah.
There's not enough theme in this one. This is super thematic, but
it's just a bit
too
left
much.
field.
Yeah. And this is the perfect weight. With, as you say, it's an inoffensive theme, but it's attractive enough. I think so many people will like this. It's the perfect choice.
So I think I've got a decision for which one I think will win. So apologies, which one I would like to win. And I would also say Wingspan. Not because I think it's my favourite game of the 3. It's because this is the game that's going to bring people into gaming.
Yeah.
If you want it as a pinnacle of gaming, I think actually Detective, the more I talk about it, the more I think Detective is actually a better game.
I prefer Detective, definitely. Of the 3, I'd always wanted to play Detective over these 2. But yes, in terms of a choice for the Kennerspiel award, I think this is the best choice. I think this one should win. Like, that's the one I would want to win.
So I marginally disagree in the way that this is my favourite game of the 3, but is it the game I'd always pick to play with others? No, it's too heavy. I wouldn't. There were plenty of times where I'd go, my head can't deal with that today. I'd rather play that instead. So while I prefer that as a game, I'd probably want. That's the one I'd be leaning towards.
Yeah.
If you want to say, let's play the game of the year, you want to play this, I think, more often than that, Mark.
I think if I had an evening and I could play 2 or 3 games like this or Detective, I'd still rather book out the entire evening and just play.
Okay.
It depends what I think. I could arrive and say no, not tonight.
Yeah. You have to be in the right frame of mind.
And I hope they keep releasing stuff. Obviously, they're linking in with the technology.
Yeah.
So
that's been great. They've done that really well.
Right. So that's what we think. For the first time, I think we're all collectively in unison that we think Wingspan should win, and we think it's going to win to some extent, obviously with a bit of grey area there. If you think differently, or if you haven't played one of these games, check out the videos below with links to all 3. We've got reviews of all 3. And if you think we've got it wrong and one of the other 2 should definitely win, please comment below with your reasons why. We've been The Table. I've been Steve.
Jonathan.
I'm Mark.
See you later. Bye.